Hey everybody, I'm Lzzy Hale from the band Halestorm, and if you want to hear all of the amazing stories behind our new album, Everest, make sure you check out the September issue of American Songwriter.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on American Songwriter.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you. We have a lot to talk about. I listened to the album, I sat with it, and I just love, and I don't know if I could say this, but I love the rage
thank
in
you.
it. I mean, it's perfect. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the album. It's called Everest.
It's called Everest.
So talk to me first about the title and why you wanted it to be called Everest.
Everest, it came from one of our songs on the album, so the title track. And I was writing with, she's from Britain, but she, Amy Wadge, but she also has a studio out here. One of my dear friends, we became friends instantaneously, and this was the first song we wrote together. We sat in her apartment, and we were just talking about our collective journeys, and we were trying to solve the mystery of the big why we do this. Because if we were in it to make money, we could have done it in many easier ways. If we didn't do it for the fame because we don't really like attention, so why do we do this? And so we were likening it to people who want to climb Mount Everest. Like, there's bodies along the way. There's no guarantee of success. You could die doing it. It's not like there's a trophy at the top, or is there? I don't know. Is there a cash prize? And so, talking about this slow but steady climb from nothing to being able to call this our career, and, make a living doing this, pay our mortgages, have kids, these were all unfathomable dreams that we had when we were kids, because it was always like a joke. Oh, when we win the Grammy, like a joke. And so, but we knew that we don't fail as long as we keep trying. So sometimes, you slide back and you have to pick it up again and trust each other and move forward. So, with that, it's very serendipitous nowadays because we are in this beautiful time of midlife as a band. I mean, we've been Halestorm for 28 years. August 9th, the day after our album is released, is our 28th anniversary of Halestorm. We named it at our first show, and we're like, that'll work for today, lo and behold. And then we're celebrating 22 years of being the same four members, and it's one of our biggest accomplishments. And so it's just, we wanted to, on this album, share all of the things, all of the hardship, the journeys, leave more questions than answers.
And you've accomplished that, but listening to it, I kind of feel like, well, it's autobiographical for the whole band, for you, or for... Yeah,
very much so. All of us are reflected in it. The boys trust me with words, which I still have no idea why after all this time. Half of them, except for my little brother, is really good at retaining the lyrics. The rest of them, if you give them a quiz and be like, what's the second line? And I missed the rest, we're like, I don't know, It's cute. But yeah, I mean, all of these songs started off as either conversations or poetry, and then worked their way. It's just our truth, It's we went in to work with Dave Cobb with the shirts on our back and 20-some years experience, and yes. That's it.
I want to talk about Dave in a second, but listening to the album, I kind of felt a story to it, an arc. And my perception of it was, in the beginning, you start with loss and pain.
Yes.
Then you get to anger and fury, and then kind of reflection and rebuilding, and then closure at the end. Was that on purpose? Is that correct?
Yes. I think that there is, there's a beauty in where we're at in our career right now, where we're no longer fighting to be a part of the ranks. We're not fighting to be on a stage. We have an army behind us. And this is us being comfortable with just existing. I had a really amazing conversation, when I was kind of in the throes of it with my good friend Linda Perry. And that woman is full of knowledge. And we were talking about the state of rock music, and she said, every time I turn on the radio, it's full of tryhards. And I say that in the nicest way, because it's not everybody's fault. These young kids are either being lorded over by an industry, they're scared to be themselves, they're scared that no one's gonna like them, so they try to their songs are more of an advertisement of who they are rather than actually their truth. And she told me, she sat me down, she said, if you are rock and roll, you don't need to try. you just need to exist. And so that was kind of my advice going into this album. And so this is us existing in ourselves and being content with who we are, being confident and being okay with our messy selves too. We're not perfect people, you know.
And do you think that's changed from when you guys started to today, the way new artists try so hard?
Yes, I think so. I think that, you know, we were signed to Atlantic Records in 2005, and then we didn't put out an album until 2009. That was the brilliant work of our A&R guy who signed us at the time, Lee Lust. We were primarily a live band. We never really had any money to get into a studio, so we were great live, and he wanted to put our best foot forward. So basically, we got signed, and we went right out on a tour with a 5-song live EP, and we sold a ton of those, and finally got some attention from that. And then we got into the studio finally in 2008, and then we had our first release on Atlantic with, you know, 2009. That's unheard of anymore. You know, these kids are being plucked from their living room and then expected to know how to talk to an audience, you know, so.
They don't give them time to develop.
Yeah, there's no development anymore. And I think it's important to have people around you that you trust, that will guide you in the right direction, that won't try to turn you into something you're not, but say, here's some things that you can do to, you know, here's some tools in your tool belt.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about some of the songs, and the part that I liked the most was the rage and the fury. So
I love that about you. That's the East Coast in us,
yes,
you know.
Yes, I felt that part the most. But Rain Your Blood on Me and I Gave You Everything. Was there one specific moment for those songs that inspired them, or was it just a cathartic release over time?
Well, Rain Your Blood on Me was written at 4 a.m. at Dave Cobb's studio in Savannah, Georgia. We were annoying the hell out of the sound guy because he wanted to sleep, and we were just stomping forever. And we had this idea, and really the phrase was just because it sounded good, like, rain your blood on me. And then I'm like, hold on. So I kind of pulled an all-nighter, and I wrote this basically like in the rhythmic of what I thought I needed to, you know, put into the song. This poem, like fully formed, kind of came out that night. And I thought, oh my God, I finally have written, you know, a real woman's anthem. And yes, rain your blood on me. Come on. I mean, it's obvious, but it's empowering, but it's also, you talk about the struggle, you talk about the blame, the shame that us women are put into. As a woman who has always loved loud music and wanted to be loud, I was, you know, taught from a young age, you know, not by my parents, thank God my parents had a childish, reckless abandon to parenting and they let me do what I want, but at school and church and everything, it was, you know, girls are seen and not heard, and you need to be nice, you need to find a man, you better serve your man or he's going to leave you, and all of these things that we're taught from such an early age that we have to unlearn. And so this was kind of me finally saying exactly what I wanted to say and not coloring it up in this like there's hope. Right. It's no, we're all together and there's more of us than them. So let's go, you know.
Let's gather, let's unite.
Yes.
And as I was listening to it, I was, you know, trying to listen and figure out what it's about. And then the line came, and don't forget to smile. And then right there, I knew immediately. I'm like,
yes.
If every woman has not heard, you look prettier when you smile,
oh, yes.
You should smile. I was like, oh my God, this just screams to me. I love this song. So you had said that this is your opus, this album. Mm-hmm. At what point did you realize that this was the most Halestorm album that you've done?
It was somewhere midway through. My little brother, so we were in, you know, Savannah, Georgia, in this house, Dave Cobb's studio, unsupervised, you know, and there was no wives, no girlfriends, no kids, no anything. It was just the four of us, like the beginning, like when we were in our RV, Storm and Norman, you know, in 2005, trying to keep up with the buses and go on an actual tour for the first time. And so it was like debaucherous, and it was also beautiful. Like I became really, like, I didn't know I could get closer with my sibling, with my brother. And I really did over the course of this. And there would be these little moments of, man, this reminds me of this song Over Me that we wrote when we were 14. And you did that same fill. And so there was all of those things were starting to kind of come out. And, you know, my guitar player, Joe, I mean, it's not just my opinion. I think that this album showcases him on lead guitar like he's never been showcased before, and I think that he's going to save rock and roll single-handedly because of it. And it's something that I always believed that he could do, and I being close to him over the years and seeing him work so hard to be the man he is today, getting to see him become his best self. And the same thing with my brother Josh, from another mother, it's like we've known each other since we were 19, and I he got to do all of it. He's classically trained as a pianist, but he's always just been known as a bass player. So he did all the synths, and he and I were nerding out on the Prophet synthesizers and the pianos and the mellotrons and the voices and the bells and all of this stuff. So we got to kind of come back to the beginning with that and just be creative with each other.
That's great. What makes it different than any Halestorm album previously?
It's unapologetically raw. So the way that we recorded this album, we walked in first day with Dave Cobb, and he turns to us, and we always bring our bag of tricks. Like, we got like songs for days that I'm writing all the time, like riffs for days, unfinished songs from the past that never made it on records. And he looks and he's like, oh no, I'm not even looking at any of that. And we're like, what?
I love that.
We thought we were so prepared, And he's like, no, I don't do demos. And he's like, we're going to write a song today. And as we are writing it, as it is unfolding in front of us, we are going to be recording it in real time. And that's how we're going to make this record. And I'm like, what? We've never done that before. Right. It's always been very we know what the songs are, we practice them, we come in with songs, we bang it out, And so and the first song that we wrote was Darkness Always Wins, because that was the last thing that I had written down in my notebook from the day before we left for Savannah to meet with Dave Cobb, because we were talking about the heaviness of the world and why does evil always prevail? Why do the good ones go first? What's wrong with us? We're trying so hard to be good people and it just always sucks, And so I think it was Joe was like, why does the darkness always win? I'm like, ooh, writing it down, not thinking we'd ever freaking use it ever, And but this was my only weapon in my pocket, and so we wrote this song. And so as you're listening to that song, and most of all of the songs really on this album, you are hearing us learning the song for the first time, writing it for the first time. I'm changing lyrics as we're going because it sounds better. It's like my brother's figuring out the groove as we're doing it. So yeah, that's what it makes it different than every other record.
Different for you. Was that terrifying or exciting?
Yes, absolutely.
But
we like being terrified because when we get too comfortable and we know the rules, okay, we've done this a million times before, it's not exciting for us anymore. And then you don't get the good stuff.
Right.
You don't get that I have something to prove in this song. If you listen to Darkness Always Wins, you're hearing me in the back being I don't even know if I can hit this note, but I'm doing it right now because I want them to like me. So it's we have to keep ourselves a little terrified to keep things moving and keep things joyous for us, because then you have that accomplishment when the record's done and you're like, we did this.
We did that.
By hell or high water,
And it's
skin of our teeth.
Great result, yes. So you mentioned Dave Cobb, he produced it. So known for basically country music, Stapleton, Isbell, those guys. What did he bring to a rock album? Other than making you do it on the fly, what does his sound bring to a rock album?
He has really amazing instincts, and he's very connected. It's almost like he's got this little antenna out for whatever. We're chasing whatever is getting us excited. If it's boring, we're not doing it. If it's tired, we're not doing it. If we've done it before, we're not doing it. And so he kind of was our spirit guide through the whole thing. And sometimes we couldn't see the forest from the trees. Sometimes what are you talking about? And then we'd see it, and we're like, oh, that's what we're doing. So it was really, and he's very quick with decisions. As in if it's not a fuck yeah, it's a fuck nope. That's
either way.
We know either way, and that's the guide, through the maze.
So you guys have been together for, like you said, 28 years, almost 3 decades. Talk about the unspoken connection. I mean, you mentioned it a little, how they really shine on this album, but talk about the connection between the four of you and what it's like.
Well, I mean, beyond the musicality and our love of music and our common ground there, we all come from blue-collar families. We reached out to music as our life raft. And so we started there. But there is I always joke like I'm married to 3 boys and one of them is my brother, because a band is a marriage. You decide. We actually all have rings that we gave each other in the beginning, and I haven't taken it off in like 2 decades, but it's trust is love. Love is trust, and we have a lot of trust, and there's a lot of brutal honesty. Like these 3 men are the only people in my life, and I love my team. I love our outward family outside of the band. I love them. I do trust them with my life, but I trust my boys more, and I always will, because we have a history. And no matter what, yes, people are saying, oh, you should do this. Oh, the push and pull, oh, the divide and conquer. We've had that with producers before, like, oh, you shouldn't have the band, or like, you don't need her, and like all this stuff. And like, don't they know we like talk all the time and we like have lived 2 feet from each other? Yes. So I always know that they're going to give it to me straight up. They have saved my life more than once from myself. I owe my band so much, because I would not be the woman that I am today without them. We're allies. We every night on stage, we don't mime. We don't use a click track on stage. We don't use tracks. We plug in, we play. So it's like we're all jumping off a cliff together, and we hope we packed each other's parachutes right. And sometimes we'll joke about that right before we go on stage for something important. Like Josh will be like, "Don't worry, I packed your parachute, I think." And we go, and that's the exciting ride that we're on together. And
so what is it like when you write a song and then you bring it to them? What's that process like? Are they like, hell no?
Well, it's kind of funny, because everybody always has different opinions about the different songs that I write. Yeah. So everyone has their different favorites and their different ones that they think work. Some of them they hate. My poor brother, again, he has stated this before, how he supports his sister in everything that I want to say, even if it's something that he does not want to sing with me at the time. I write a lot of songs about sexual empowerment. I write a lot of fun songs about threesomes in Holland and all, the wonderful perks of being a rock star. Yes. And the poor boy has to, he's a great vocalist, and so he carries a lot of my backing vocal for me. We call him the lead backing vocalist, yeah. And so he'll have to sing these songs with me and then have to answer for it. And so, there's a lot of discussion. Like there was one time we were making our album, Into the Wildlife, and there's a song on there called Apocalyptic that I actually wrote about him and his ex, because I thought it was funny, and it was a sex song. There was a line in it that was like red handprint across my ass or something like that, and we get to the line, and he has not really listened to the song before we got in the studio, and we get to the line, and he's like, sis, again? Seriously? So I torture them with a lot of things, but inherently we all trust each other, and everything is a democracy, when we talk about money, when we talk about future plans, when we talk about, I might be the lead singer, but it is, I need my counsel, if I'm going, it's a very Pinky in the Brain kind of situation with me and my little brother. It's always been that way, It's like, we're going to take over the world. I get to play drums with you, right, sis? Yeah, okay.
Come along.
Come on.
Fine. Yeah. So you'd mentioned that you wrote a lot of these late at night. Mm-hmm. So take us through that writing session. What's that like for you? Bring us in your head. Really. So
we would wake up every morning, and we would just kind of start playing and jamming, or if somebody had like a melody line or a chord, like I would usually have something that I'm working on in the morning and recording it into our voice memos to like save for later to show Cobb or something, like, oh, what about this part in the bridge? And throughout the day, a song would develop, and so we would kind of get a bed of a song, and I would have like kind of a scat vocal. But throughout the day, you get to know the song, you get to know what it means to you, and then we'll have conversations. We'd break for dinner, and we'd have these deep conversations about, music, and about, playing live, and about friendship, and about being a band and a gang. And so then I would then, I'm a chronic insomniac, I would then at night, after everybody's snoring, kind of, sit at my desk and just basically write my poetry, which has become it always was a very important part of my process as a child. And then once we got signed, I was like, oh, I don't need poetry. I can just write songs. It's fine. And what I lost over the course of like late 20s and early 30s was that's a very important part of the puzzles, because I get to kind of blab to myself my idea of what I think I want to write about. And then you get to comb over it and be like a teacher, go back with your teacher brain and be like, oh, this is where the song is. Oh, that's the title. That's the first line. So, I would just I would have fun. It's kind of like people play Wordle. I do word games with songs every day, so.
Is it cathartic for you?
It is.
Is it a form of therapy, maybe?
It is a form of therapy. It's a way for me to figure out the messiness in my head. It's a way for me to confess my sins, analyze them, and then somehow conquer them in a way. Like once they become a song, it's like I'm giving away. I'm releasing that weight from my shoulders. And it's funny because my therapist used to annoy the hell out of me, and she'd be like, don't forget about music. I'm like, I can't forget about music. I think about music all the time. It's like my life. And she's like, no, but seriously, talk about the beginnings of when music caught you. That was your life raft. That's what saved you. That's how you made it through adolescence. That's how you made it through your teenage years. That's how you made it through this crazy journey that not many people make it through. This gauntlet of a music business was because you were able to write through it. And so, putting that into practice every day, it's good for my career, but it's also good for my soul.
Yeah, it carries you through. Do you have a favorite on the album?
Yes. I love Watch Out because that was a 4 a.m. That chorus was not a chorus. I had a whole other chorus for the song. It was very catchy and poppy, and everybody hated it. And the Watch Out, that bitch is out for blood chorus was my outro. So it's me at 4 a.m. and those are the exact tracks that I recorded in my rig, because I have my own vocal chain that I use at my house, and I travel sometimes with it. And so that's me at 4 a.m. saying, watch out, that bit, like it's the end of the song. And so then we took those tracks and we used them as the map, and then I sang it in one take, and so that's one of my favorites of like, whoops, that wasn't supposed to be the song, but there it is.
But it turned out to be something different. I have a favorite too, Like a Woman Can.
Oh, yes.
So
I got to be Soul Mama. It's like,
it was phenomenal. Your voice is extremely strong. Sounds amazing on it.
Thank you.
Take us behind the song on that. Give us a little story.
So the song was inspired by, it was a conversation that I was watching that Meryl Streep was having in an interview. And she was saying, and this was a couple years ago, she was saying that for hundreds and hundreds of years, women have learned the language of men. We know how to speak to you. We know how to smile. We know how to dress. We know what to say. We know how to please you. But, men have, most men, I should say, have failed to learn the language of women. And so it started off as this kind of letter asking the men in my life to meet me in the middle. And I'm not saying you need to understand the craziness that goes on in a woman's head. That's impossible.
We don't
even understand it. We just live with it. But understand that my emotions are valid as much as your stoicness is valid, and as much as your candor is valid, and the way that you think. And so it's not women against men. It's us. It's let's have a truce.
Right.
As the thunder rolls.
Amen.
God's looking out. But the funniest thing about it is that, so I've been openly bi since 2011. And what's funny about it is that all my friends are like, you just wrote your own bi anthem. And I'm like, oh God, is it going to be this thing? So I think that a lot of people are going to see themselves in it, but also I think a lot of people are going to have some different opinions, which I'm looking forward to.
I think it can speak to anybody's relationship. It doesn't have to be
It doesn't have to just be,
It can be, and us women still wonder, are men ever going to get it?
Time will tell.
We shall see.
Maybe not in our lifetime, but we're trying to pass the torch here. Good vibes.
We're trying to help here.
Yeah.
So you guys are headed out on tour.
Yes.
You're going to open for Iron Maiden, and you're going to do the last show of Sabbath.
Yes.
And you're going to be the only woman on that.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, you just saying all of it at once makes me nervous. It's crazy. It's if you had told me when I was 13 years old when we started Halestorm that even Iron Maiden would know who we are, or the guys in Black Sabbath, or and that I would, as a woman, be asked to be representing at the metal event of the year, at where we get to honor the godfathers of heavy metal, the inventors of heavy metal. How many bands would not be a band? My first riff that I ever learned on guitar was Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath.
Get out.
The reason I am Lzzy is because of Ozzy Osbourne. There's a story to that that's hilarious because it's 90s and no social media. Anyway, but so this is, my mom said it best because I was explaining all of this to her when the news came out, and she's like, oh, sweetheart, this is your becoming. Like, you are going to get to show all of your idols, the world, exactly what you can do. And I know you always wanted this when you were a kid, but you never believed it would ever happen, and now it's happening, and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I've had amazing conversations with my dad, who introduced me to Black Sabbath, you know. And
coming full circle.
Full circle. And then with Iron Maiden, I mean, you know, I was watching those videos on VH1, you know, trying to figure out how to sing those high notes. And so I'm hoping that they'll take me in Ed Force One. I'm putting that out in the universe because of like dream come true. But as a, you know, as a girl and a vocalist and a musician and a guitar player, and I would not be the rocker I am today, and I would not be the person I am today without this music and without these men who raised me. So
so that's great. So it's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be crazy.
But you're also doing your own solo tour.
Yes.
Everest tour.
The Never Rest tour.
Talk about that title. Wow.
Well, obviously it's a play on the album title, but it really is the Never Rest tour. You know, we go out with Maiden, we do the Black Sabbath show, we come back to the US, we're touring with Volbeat, then we go back to the UK, we go into Canada and the US doing our own headlining tour with, we have Lindsey Sterling opening up and Apocalyptica, and then we go back to Europe and we do a headlining tour there, and then we come back to the States, do a headlining tour there, and I don't think we're resting until Christmas.
Wow.
And I'm warning all of my family, I'm not traveling for Christmas, come to me. No more living out of a suitcase. But it really is the Never Rest tour, you know, no rest till Christmas.
I was reading it as Neverest instead of Never Rest.
Oh yes, I love that
Neverest.
too. Yes, the never-ending story. Yes.
So the album's out in August.
Yes.
What do you want people to take away from it after listening to Everest?
You know, I've been talking about this album. This album is, it's not an album of despair, and it's not really an album of hope either. There's hope peppered into it, but it's reality. It's our lives as we see it, as we experience it, the world we're living in, the people we interact with, the struggle internally and externally just to be human and just to be our truest selves at all costs, to have fun, to find our joy. And these are things that, as a band who's been around for 28 years, starting from the very bottom of our mountain, we have a lot of stories to tell, and we have a lot of things to say about it, and I hope that our fans, again, see themselves reflected in it. I hope that these songs mean a million different things to you. I hope that as it grows with you, I hope that this album is your story as well as ours, because we're all in this together, you know. And I think our only responsibility as a band, this war, whatever you want to call it, may not be one in our lifetime, but our responsibility is to pass the torch backwards and maybe make it a little easier for the ones that come after us. And maybe it'll be one in the next one, but that's our only responsibility. So I hope that everybody I just hope everyone's in for the ride, because every time I listen to this album in its entirety, I discover something new about myself. It's almost like the music was giving me a message that I haven't really seen until it's laid out in front of me.
You listen to it after. I kind of feel like it's the soundtrack for anyone who's fighting their own mountain, pretty much, and we all are.
We all are.
I think it's great.
Hell yeah!
Thank you so much for coming in.
No, thank you so much for having me. You're delightful.
Oh no, you
East
are.
Coast proud. Yeah.